What's up, guys? We're back in action today. Welcome back to Surfing the Tide. This is a new series that we're doing. This is season one, episode one of the new series. We've got a new partnership going on, like we were advertising before. Like y'all saw, I'm partnering with Inside the Tide, and so please welcome Noah to Zick onto the episode.
Appreciate you. Got a lot of big things in store. Excited to get this going.
For sure, man. And so today we've got some good stuff for you. Normally, under normal circumstances, I would do what y'all recognize as a general segment and then a detailed segment. We wanted to just kind of test the waters this time and just kind of jump right into it. So we're going to be throwing some baseball at you, some football, basketball, softball, maybe a little other stuff if we think of something. And yeah, so without further ado, here we go. So first off with baseball, Noah, what we got there?
Yeah, so baseball SEC tournament starting soon. Alabama has the Gamecocks in Hoover. A big turnaround year for Alabama baseball under Coach Vaughn. A lot of improvement. A lot of things, you're going to see struggles still, but it's year one of the Vaughn era, so you can't complain too much. Alabama's in Hoover, got a tough first round matchup with the Gamecocks. Alabama this year been a good hitting team. Very good hitting team. You got guys like Gage Miller and TJ McCants are on the Player of the Year watch list now. McCants is hitting, I believe, near 400. I think he's around the 380 point. McCants is hitting somewhere in the mid 300s around there. Great hitting all around. I mean, everyone, you got Justin LeBron at shortstop hitting the lights out right now. Really found himself as the season went. LeBron's been fantastic. I mean, Hamiter, all of great hitting. I think the real problem with this team right now going into Hoover isn't necessarily just the pitching. I think it's the bullpen. I think Alabama has some very solid pitchers, starting pitchers, that is.
Yeah.
But I think the bullpen is the weakness. Is the weakness here, and I think that could cost them games if they aren't on point. Now we've seen Alabama pitch some gems this year, but we've also seen some late game crumbles. So I think the biggest question mark heading into Hoover.
Sweet. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen that we've had some defensive struggles recently. We had a week where we had a bunch of illnesses or something like that. I saw something on.
They
Sorry.
against Mississippi State, yeah, all the
Yeah.
all the food poisoning or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
it's crazy. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I had written down that going into the was it the SEC tournament this week? Yeah. As of I think it was basically the last week that they came out with the rankings, we on PG, I forget what that stands for. I'm not totally familiar with that, but we got as highly ranked as 15th on there going into that. And so that was pretty pumped up for that. On D1 we were 23rd, so that was
Yeah,
neat.
we've been consistently ranked this year. There's been a few times where we popped out, but then popped right back in. So
Yeah.
definitely, definitely a lot of improvement this year, especially from the past couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Rob Vaughn's been doing incredible, I feel like.
I agree. I think when he gets his guys in, I think it's this program could be pretty special. I don't think it's going to be your consensus number one every year, but I think this could be a team that under Vaughn will make it to Omaha.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for
and
sure.
I definitely with the being in the South, having all these baseball players down here in the state, out right outside the state. I think the potential with Vaughn especially is unlimited.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm excited to see where they go, man. So let's see here. In the SEC tournament, what are we expecting?
I think a successful SEC tournament would be a round one win. Personally, I think you win round one against South Carolina, and you've pretty much solidified yourself as that two seed going into the regionals. I've seen different ways of paths. They get to host a regional, but I think after the series lost to Auburn, I don't really think that's possible.
Yeah.
But I think one series win in Hoover is what they need. I think two series wins in Hoover would be outstanding. But I think expectation wise from the fans, I think one is pretty fair. One series. But I also think if they lose it, I don't think that's too much to sulk over. I
Yeah.
think they're still pretty solid at a two seed right now. I don't see them drop into a three. I just think for momentum and for just program status, I think that round one win would go pretty far for us.
Yeah. For sure. Definitely. Well, moving on to softball. So next up, let's see here. What have we got for here?
Just
So we're
just
hosting. Sorry.
just won the regional.
Yeah, we did. Saw that. Yeah, and I have the all the recent wins and losses written down. So yeah, we lost the series against Auburn in early May. Won the middle game 2-0. Then we went to Auburn and unfortunately lost to LSU 2-3 in the first
That was
round.
a game. That
Yeah,
was what, or something, 15. I mean, it was crazy.
it was
Uh,
awesome. Yeah, or
I will
crazy.
a testament to this team and how they responded to a really, really tough loss, beating USC Upstate pretty handily, as well as Southeastern. So I think that that was a testament to kind of the grit and the competitiveness of this softball team, and that
Yeah,
we've seen the past few years. And I think we've seen struggles this year compared to the past few years, but I think this past weekend has kind of given Alabama fans a little bit more hope.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. That game that game today was pretty incredible, man. I saw that we won 12-2. Oh my gosh, is that the most that we've scored all season?
I think so. I mean, the first inning for 9 runs. I mean, it was ridiculous. I was struggling to keep up. I was like, this. I haven't seen this all year. Oh man,
We're hitting dingers, man.
I guess that's the opposite of the baseball team, man. They couldn't
Literally, yeah.
hit this year.
Yeah. I mean, I've been seeing all season like people just dragging our hitting through the mud. They're like, man, if we don't get a hitting coach, holy smokes, we're just gonna stink every single season.
Yep.
And people have been talking about that, but I mean, according to today, I think that just proved them wrong a little bit. But who knows? It might be a rare occurrence. It might not be. We might see it more often. I'm hoping we do, but
Yeah.
you never know. I mean, yeah, yesterday we beat Southeastern again. It was 6-3, and yeah, but we're moving on to supers, so let's go. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Um, and a little fun fact for you. So I was seeing in the weekly rankings, the last one that I saw, we were as highly ranked as 16th on USA, and then 17th on I can't even see that, it's too small a print, but we got as highly ranked as 16th. So there we go. Um, yeah, and then Kayla Brewer was or Beaver, sorry, geez, and she was ranked. Yeah, she was ranked as the number 9 pitcher in the country. So that was pretty
Well,
sweet.
well deserved.
Definitely. Absolutely. She's our ace. She is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Agree. It's
moving,
hard to follow a girl
sorry.
like Fouts. It's hard to follow up a girl like Fouts, but
Oh yeah.
I think Bieber has. I think she's done just fine so far.
Oh yeah. Definitely. She's been impressive, man. I've loved watching it.
Hmm.
But moving on to football, so we got the commitment of Jamarian Gordon, and then we today the commitment of I'm blanking on his name.
Dorian Barney.
Yeah, Dorian Barney. That's right. Um, yeah. So tell me a little bit about them.
Yeah, so Jamarian Gordon, plays his high school ball in Jackson High School in Alabama. I got a chance to actually watch him in camp earlier this year or late last year. Very
Wow.
impressive athlete. Yep. Super fluid. Athlete is a good way to describe him. He's very athletic. He, kind of has a knack for the ball, moves around really well. And I'm excited to see what he does this year. I think you see a lot of players make that big jump their sophomore to junior year. And Gordon's one of those guys I expect to see make a pretty big jump. And I think it's also noteworthy that he plays his high school ball with 2027 running back Xavier Crowell, who
Yeah.
is already emerging as one of the top running backs and players his cycle already. Got a chance to watch him at the same camp. Super impressive. Big, not big, but big for his age. Like he's a strong, well built running back, tall guy, built well, strong base, everything like that.
Definitely.
Powerful runner. And he's just a 2027 kid, which is remarkable. So,
Yeah.
and then, quarterback Landon Duckworth, who's actually committed to South Carolina, one of the best quarterbacks in the country in the 2026 class. And it'll be interesting to see if Alabama maybe gives him a little bit of attention
Yeah.
this next cycle. Would be interesting to see if Alabama tries to complete the Jackson sweep, as I call it, with 3 at Jackson. 2026, 2026 guys and 2027 in Crowell. So definitely a big commitment from Gordon to kind of get that 2026 class kicked off.
Definitely. Yeah, I like to call Jackson High School. If we could pull that off, I like to compare that to kind of modern day a little bit because
Yeah,
they'll just make a clean sweep of them every year. It's fun to watch.
Exactly, exactly.
But as for the commitments, or sorry, the visitors that we're expecting, I had that written down. So we've one sec. We can edit.
Like up, I'll kind of just cover Dorian Barney, which kind of came as a surprise to most people. Kind of committed out of the blue. We saw some cryptic tweets the other day about maybe a big thing's coming soon. Some people are like, "Oh, it's top school." Some people are maybe he's committing. And he ended up committing, ended up pulling the trigger to Alabama. So big credits past few days to Mo Linguist. I mean, he's a guy that helped pull in King Mack, Deshaun Jones out of the transfer portal, and then pulls in Jamarian Gordon and Dorian Barney to get that 2026 DB class started. So Mo Linguist has been working on the trail. So props to him. Props to him.
Dude, he's been incredible. I've loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so one that stood out to me was Khalil Jacobs. So I know that we were trying to get him on campus. We kind of whiffed on it a little bit at first. What was he coming off? I think it was an Ole Miss visit or something like that. And then
Yeah.
I seen a joke on Twitter was like, was it that bad you had to schedule two in the next weekend?
Right. Yeah, he's been all over. I mean, he visited Auburn, Ole Miss. He's at Bama right now, actually, I believe.
Yeah,
I think the connection with Kane Womack is there.
definitely.
I if I had to put in a prediction, I would probably say Alabama. And I think or obviously there is a spot for him, or else he wouldn't be visiting. People are kind of worried about the roster spots, but I leave that to the coaches personally. I don't worry too much about that. But the staff wants him. Womack wants him. Womack has seen him play. He coached him. And obviously, if you watch the film, he looks like a power four player. Weird to say power four, but he looks like a power four player, and a guy that can survive in the SEC. Great blitzer, really good timing, really good pursuit, just a very aggressive player. And I think that Alabama, if they are to land him, will land a key player next year that can come in and provide relief to some players, and also can provide a great blitzer in certain situations. So.
Definitely.
Um, Obviously, got to hold off Auburn, got to hold off Ole Miss. Both of them are coming hard for him, especially Auburn, another in-state school. But I
For
like
sure.
Raleigh right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I was seeing that we got a quote from him from somebody, but somebody basically asked him, "Hey, what kind of role does Kane Womack play in all this?" And being at Alabama, and the fact that he was your coach and your position coach in at South, and he was like, honestly, he plays a huge role. That's actually probably he basically said that's the most dominant thing in his recruitment right now, and so I
Yeah,
was
when
really
he entered
happy about that.
the portal, well, we originally, I believe, he originally entered the portal earlier this year and then
Yeah,
stayed, and then entered again. And I think that Womack knows he wants him, and
yeah,
I think he's doing what he can to get him right now. So, and I think the fact that Womack wants him in Alabama made him realize he wants me in Alabama. Maybe I should also explore some other options too. Look around at some other schools just in case. NIL definitely plays a factor for a
I
lot
think
of
get that NIL, yeah.
guys. Yeah, offer see your best option. But I think in the end that Womack connection might be too much, and I think he'll end up in Crimson.
Yeah, I think he's coming here for sure. Not gonna say for sure, but I think he's a
Or-
sell. So
That's the vibe we're getting.
yeah. But as for Quincy Porter, I don't know if he's still in Tuscaloosa right now. I know that he was coming here yesterday or there yesterday. But yeah, he's the number five receiver in the class. So have you watched any of his film or no?
Yeah, watched a little bit. Plays up at Bergen Catholic, up in Jersey. Good player. Just recently released a top five, Alabama included. Um, Kind of just popped on the scene for most people. It wasn't a guy many people were talking about recently, but obviously one of the best receivers in this class. Talented guy, plays pretty solid competition at Bergen. There's been a lot of players play Division I ball and succeed who came from Bergen Catholic, so there's no lack of development up there. I think Jarrett Garantano played at Bergen. I'm not but I believe he played at Bergen Catholic. So yeah, I mean, visiting Alabama, Alabama. Thing about receivers for Alabama is they're going to have their choices this year. They have a few guys that want to commit right now that literally can't because Alabama is still trying to make some decisions about who they want to take at receiver. Trying to be careful because you have Jamarcus Shepard, you have Kalen DeBoer, two of the best offensive minds, wide receiver developer in the country. In my opinion, Shepard's the best wide receiver coach in the country. Um, Maybe right behind or right next to Cortez over at LSU. But regardless, Alabama's going to have their pickings at receiver. Porter's definitely a guy they're interested in, or else they wouldn't have brought him in for a visit, of
Yeah,
course.
for sure.
Um, Definitely one to watch down the line. But we'll definitely keep our eyes on the receiver class this year. It's going to be a good receiver class, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at on the May 31st through June 2nd weekend, we've got a slew of official visits coming in. A few to mention are Derek Smith, top 100 athlete from Southside High School in Alabama. He's a commit. Latsier Brooks, same deal. Zamir Smith, Alabama commit. And then we've got a SMU commit coming in, UGA commit coming in. That's Jadon Perlett. Keelan Russell, the SMU commit, coming in, top 100 quarterback, and then 4-star linebackers, Jaden Perlett from Buford. Actually, we got a little pipeline with them going on too, and
Yeah,
we're gonna keep that connection going on.
yeah. Perlette's a guy that I'm not quite sure if he ends up sticking with Georgia, but I also don't know if he's going to come to Alabama. I know
Yeah,
Auburn. I know Auburn's after him pretty hard. Keelan Russell's another guy that Alabama really wants. I actually was able to talk to his quarterback coach the other day. Talked to him about Alabama. Loves Alabama. A lot of people around him love Alabama. Um, Definitely a guy that quarterback coach. Not saying he wants him in Alabama, but I think there's a little bit of influence there maybe from him to go to Alabama. Just recently visited Ole Miss, had a good visit. And I know there was a prediction put in for Ole Miss after, but I think it's best to wait until after the Alabama visit to kind of reassess things. I don't think it's fair to put that prediction in right after he comes off an Ole Miss visit.
yeah,
Couldn't miss, but it's the first visit, so it's kind of hard to predict. Um, and then Derek Smith, Zymir Smith, all those guys. It's great to get them back on campus.
definitely.
Get them recruiting some of these guys, helping out in the recruiting efforts. Keep them familiar with the campus, keep recruiting them like they're not committed. Holding on to these guys is definitely going to be a challenge because they're some of the best players in the nation. Everyone wants them.
For sure.
Auburn's still after Derek Smith. I mean, that's just part of it. That's recruiting. We're still after guys that are committed elsewhere also. So it's important to keep these guys committed and keep recruiting them like they're not committed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I got to keep that relationship going. Got to keep it developing. Let me see. Couple summer ones for you. The weekend of June 7th to the 9th. Daryl Johnson, Duke Johnson, as he's better known as, Alabama commit. Jaden Harmon, also coming in for an official visit that weekend. Yeah, he's a linebacker. Duke Johnson's an athlete. Both from Georgia, and they're both just stupid explosive from what you've told me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Daryl Johnson can play in space, play everywhere. Harmon has some of my favorite film next to Metz in our class. I mean, his pursuit is outstanding. Super athletic, super strong, hits hard, pursues the ball carrier, pursues the quarterback really well. Not much to complain about Harmon. People say he's undersized, but that's undersized to play inside linebacker, and he won't be playing inside linebacker at Alabama, so I don't see that being a problem. So no, I'm excited. I'm excited for him. Obviously, there's no shortage of linebackers for Alabama. Alabama's doing everything they can to get as many linebackers as they want to fit this new scheme, to fit the new swarm defense, as Kane Walmack calls it, which I'm personally very excited for. Um, and yeah, Duke Johnson, super lengthy, super explosive, can play in space, can rush the passer. So that's another guy that I enjoy watching, and I think is kind of the face of Alabama's class right now when it comes to recruiting other guys and the passion he has about Alabama. One of those first guys to really hop on board and trust Kalen DeBoer and what he's doing.
Definitely. Yeah. And then Bo Jackson, I gotta mention him. So he's coming in that same weekend. I've heard nothing but good stuff about him. He's super fast, super explosive, just an incredible player. Yeah, we oftentimes associate that name with Auburn, but this is
Yeah,
definitely different guys from up in Cleveland actually.
Ohio, yeah, is considering Auburn too.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, he's being recruited by every good school you can think of. I mean, he's a talented player. It'd be pretty great to see a running back Bo Jackson play at Alabama. Obviously, there's a lot of options for Alabama at running back. A lot of guys out there that they're still recruiting. Have Anthony Rogers committed right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Visits can change a lot. I wouldn't put Alabama as the team in the driver's seat for them right now, but they're definitely in the race pretty competitively. You got guys like Jordan Davison. I mean, you got guys like a Kalen Deere, Ole Miss commit. You got guys like Anthony Rogers committed, of course. Um, I mean, Pringle committed to Miami. A lot of guys that they're still going after committed elsewhere. So a lot of running backs. Bo Jackson, one of them on the board. It'll be interesting to see where Alabama goes with this. Jamarian Morrow is another guy. And then you also got, oh boy, you also got, oh my goodness, what's Chicago Mills Knight out
Yeah.
of the Baylor, where I'm actually from. I'm actually live 5 minutes from where he goes to school. So a
Yep.
lot of talent backs, and I think Alabama will end up taking two guys. So we'll see.
Yeah, the one that I'm really, really, really excited for, because he's from Mobile, where I'm from. So, Micah DeBoat's coming in on the June 21st weekend. I am pumped for that. That's gonna be pretty cool. He is just insane from what I've heard and what I've seen. I'm
Yeah,
excited for that one.
yeah. Words cannot describe how good of a job this staff has done with
Oh yeah,
DeBose. When DeBoer first got hired, a quote went viral of him saying, "I don't know if he can coach in the SEC." DeBose saying that, and then within months, he's now has Alabama as one of his top couple schools.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, it's incredible to me what the staff has done with him. One of the more physical offensive linemen in this class. Super, he's a dog, as they say. So in-state guy. Considering schools like Ohio State, LSU, Auburn, is a Georgia decommit. I don't really think they're going to play much of a factor in his recruitment anymore, um, unless they circle back late, which I don't think they'll do. But Alabama's near the top, and this official visit, it's a big one.
sweet, awesome. And another one just to cap it all off. This is the final one that we'll talk about. Actually, no, there's one more that I want to. Sorry, but
For me.
I might be pronouncing this wrong, but Ackland Deer. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, he kind of surprised a few people with a random commitment to Ole Miss. They'd been trending there, but no one really saw it coming that soon.
yeah.
Alabama's going to take an official visit. One of my favorite guys in the class, Alabama actually offered him when he was a 3-star and
Really?
borderline, and then he's now the number one running back in the class. So really explosive guy, fast, hits the hole hard. Not much you can say bad about him.
Yeah.
Just an all stud. So that's a big visit as well.
Where do you think we stand with him?
I think Alabama, if you were to rank the teams in terms of who you think can flip them, I think Alabama would be one of those teams. I think right now he's solid with Ole Miss, but I think him scheduling this visit with Alabama is a good sign. I think it means that he still is exploring his options just in case. And I think with a good visit, Alabama can make some noise and maybe get an unofficial down the line or something like that. But I think it's best to just kind of focus on this official right now, see how it goes, and go from there.
Sweet. Okay. Well, there's obviously a ton of players that I can talk about and we can talk about in here. But the last one that I wanted to touch on was Caleb Cunningham from Choctaw County High School in Ackerman.
Yeah.
I've got a couple buddies that get a state over there, so I've been over there several times. Never went to go see him play, unfortunately. I wish I had, but I have heard nothing but good things about him. He's insane. But I've seen that Mississippi State is up there in his recruitment. Yeah, what do you think?
Recruiting in the state of Mississippi will always be one of the hardest states to recruit in, and I stand by that. I mean, harder than Texas, harder than California, harder than Florida, harder than anywhere. Mississippi is one of the hardest school states to recruit in. Ole Miss and Mississippi State are up there. I would probably say Mississippi State has the edge right now. I think Alabama is one of those top schools though, and I think he loves Coach Shepard. I remember a quote came out I saw on Instagram one day that he did not want to leave during his visit, and that he was having such a good time. Loves the staff. I think an official like just like with AK Deer could go a long way, and boost the tide to the top. I know his recruitment's been pretty fluid. I've heard Ole Miss, then I heard Mississippi State, then I heard Bama, then back to Mississippi State. So he's kind of everywhere right now. I think it's best, wait till after the official visit, see what's happening, see if he decides to wait on a decision or go ahead and pull the trigger. I've heard mixed things about that, but you know, you never know with those Mississippi kids. I mean, Jaheim Otis was a shocker, And then towards signing day, there were teams really trying to flip him, and it got a little sketchy at one point, but ended up sticking. So Mississippi recruiting is tough. But Alabama, they're deep in Mississippi right now, trying to recruit a lot of kids.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. Well, then that'll pretty much cap it off for football, I believe. Let me pull this back up. Um, Oh, sorry. We missed about the transfer portal additions and losses. I completely forgot about that. Well, there's a ton that we could say about the losses. The most recent one was Peyton Woodyard. He committed to Oregon already, right?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah, honestly, dude, I was so disappointed about that one. I saw I want to say it was Minka Fitzpatrick comparisons for him. I might be misremembering that, but I mean, I saw just nothing but potential in him at 8A, especially. That dude was flying. I loved it. Now who I'm really excited for is Red Morgan. He's going to be incredible, man.
I'm excited for Red. I think the Woodyard departure sucks, but it's not horrible. I think you got a guy like Cam Howard in the portal. You got a guy like King Mack in the portal,
Yeah,
and you're essentially, I mean, Mack is essentially a better version of Woodyard if you kind of look deeper into it, in my opinion.
yeah,
Um, so going based off rankings, and rankings aren't everything. He's only a sophomore. He was ranked higher than Woodyard coming out. I mean, I'm not trying to go be a rankings guy. I'm not a rankings watcher, but if you look at it in terms of that, it's technically an upgrade. Now, Woodyard had a lot of potential. I agree. I think he's a great player. I think it's a tough loss, but I think Alabama did a good job being prepared for that loss, replacing him with someone with a little bit more experience, also because that's going to be a necessity this year, especially in the secondary.
yeah, definitely. Well, let's see. Are we missing any additions? I don't think we are.
There's the whole DB class. Deshaun Jones, King
Yeah,
Mack. You had a lot of experience. And then there was the previous additions. You have Caden Proctor coming back.
yeah,
Uh, you have LT Overton and Damani Jackson, who are both going to be significant contributors on defense this year.
yeah.
So
Yeah, LT
overall,
rest. I liked him in A Day. LT. He
yeah,
was that was interesting.
yeah, no, I'm excited. I think both those guys are going to provide a lot of experience in leadership, and make a lot of plays on defense this year.
Dude, I'm looking forward to seeing Lawson and Malachi Moore and Damani, all three of them out there together. Dude, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That was so fun to watch on A Day.
yeah.
Oh man. That was wonderful. But yeah, so moving on to basketball is our final thing that we're going to talk about tonight. So recruiting for the 24 and 25 classes. I don't know what we've done in the 25 class. I haven't looked much at that, but 24 we have been just tearing it up. I mean, we recently got LeBaron Fallon. He went to, I think it was Link Academy up in the Northeast, and then but he's actually from Mobile, from where I am. I went to Baker High School, and he's been nothing but impressive. I want to say he was averaging like 35 a game at Baker. He was insane, and
Yeah.
I want to say the
Well,
number 3 point guard in the class, and
yeah.
he's just been tearing it up.
Yeah. Originally, Alabama passed on him. It wasn't a
Yeah.
take here at Link. Ended up being a take, committed to Kansas, after being committed to Auburn. Ends up at Bama, after being released from his NLI at Kansas. Great player. Is going to be a great player for Alabama this year. But you had guys like Darian Reed, who's going to play that 3. You had a guy like Aiden Sherrill, who can play the 5, but is going to be a stretch 4, which is going to be absolutely incredible. I mean, he's a great shooter, can play down low, but can also play the 4. You had a guy like Nas Cunningham, who, when is playing well, is a very good shooter.
Oh yeah.
And you got to look at the portal. You had Houston Millette averaging 14, shooting over 40% from 3. Chris Youngblood, originally from Tuscaloosa, played at South Florida. Big, bulky guy, can play defense, averaging 15 points a game and over 40% from 3. And then, obviously, Big Cliff from Rutgers, 10 points a game, 8 rebounds a game. I think what Alabama fans are most excited about is 3 blocks a game.
Oh yeah.
You had
Yeah,
a guy like
he had like 8 blocks against Ole Miss or something like that. It was ridiculous.
you had a guy like Charles Bediako a year and a half ago who was great on defense but struggled on offense. You bring in a guy like Cliff who's great at both,
Yeah.
arguably better than Charles was at both. And then you bring in Aiden Holloway from Auburn. Always sweet to bring in a player from your rival. Definitely a guy that had early season success, but struggled down the road. But I think Alabama is a place that he's expecting to be at for more than 1 year.
Yeah,
Is willing to get developed. I've heard that his camp really sees this as an opportunity for him to start over, get developed, spend some time here, more than 1 year, wait it out, play his term. So I'm excited about all four portal additions as well as all the freshmen.
definitely. And yeah, actually, I apologize. I was wrong. I said 8 blocks against Ole Miss. That was the guy from Kentucky that I was remembering.
Yeah,
Not Cliff. Yeah. No, Rutgers did not play Ole Miss last year.
no,
But as for expectations for next year, so if Sears leaves, if Sears returns, I've heard mixed reviews on that. I think he's gonna stay. I mean that's it just looks like that to me. I could be completely wrong though. I really don't know. But I think if Sears leaves, I mean, I think we're still gonna make a run, man. I think we're at least gonna get to Elite Eight again. We may not get to Final Four, who knows? But dude, if Sears comes back, I think we're going to the championship.
yeah. Um, Basketball is a weird sport,
Yeah,
especially in March. So it's
yeah,
hard to be like, yep, we're going to the championship. If it was football, I'd be like a little more confident, right? But
yeah,
March is, I,
definitely.
I think that Jaron Stevenson will come back. Or I think he's just testing the draft, seeing what he needs to get better at before next year.
That's exactly what he's doing. Yeah.
I Pierce comes back, but in the event he doesn't, I still think Alabama has a top five roster in the country,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
even. And they will be a preseason top five team, regardless
Yeah.
of if he Final Four mixed with all these additions in the offseason, these freshmen. I mean, it. I think a realistic expectation as of the current roster right now would be Elite Eight. I think that's a good expectation, especially for college basketball. Um, but I think realistically, this team has championship potential
Yeah.
if they hold it together and mature. There's a lot of new guys on this team, but there's also a lot of experience coming in, a lot of guys coming back. So you have that experience, you have that young talent. If it molds well, this team could be NATO's best.
Definitely. Yeah. It's gonna be fun to watch. Man, I'm looking forward to seeing Cliff on defense next year. That's gonna be so cool. Oh my gosh. Finally get a center that can actually block shots like consistently. Oh my goodness.
For
Dude,
sure.
rim protector if I've ever seen one. Jeez. But
Yeah,
that's the transfer portal additions and losses. So we got Houston Mallet. Is it Mallet or Mallet? Do you know?
I say Millette.
Okay, yeah. So we got him. We got Aiden Holloway. We got Cliff. I'm definitely missing one that I'm blanking
Yeah.
on. Yeah, yeah, Youngblood. Dude, I've heard nothing but good stuff about him too.
I
He's
th- I
insane from what I've heard.
I think he's personally an upgrade over Rylan.
Yeah,
Not trying. Ryan was an incredible player for us.
yeah,
He was
for
awesome.
sure.
But I think just when it comes to experience and consistency, I think Youngblood kind of takes it there. I think he's a
Yeah,
better ball. I think he's an as good shooter, and I think he's a little bit more consistent. I think Ryland might have him on the defensive end just because of his length, but Youngblood plays incredible defense. It's just Ryland's 2 inches taller than him. So
exactly. Yeah, Rylan was a lot of like a spot up shooter. He was great at that. But yeah, Youngblood, I've pretty much been told he's an upgrade. I've seen some of his film, not a lot, but some. Dude was tearing it up. It's awesome to watch. But man, yeah,
remarkable.
I'm excited for Houston. Came from Pepperdine. I've heard nothing but good stuff about him too. I mean, this entire team really, I've heard nothing but good stuff. I know I keep on saying that, but I mean, it's the new age of Alabama basketball. That's just how it is now. Like every single guy that comes on these teams are just going to be ridiculous. And so, um,
Houston's going to be that guy that comes off the bench and is
yeah,
able to provide a point shot off the bench.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I'm really excited for this team. I've got high expectations for them, especially if Sears comes back. I think we make a solid run at it in
I
the
will say,
next year.
the most, one of the most important things is in March is an experienced and talented point guard.
Exactly. Yeah. Dude,
If
I think he could get player of the year next year. Mark could.
if he has a similar year, yes, I agree.
I think he could. Easily SEC player of the year. I think he would because
A lot more.
Connect is going to the NBA, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think if he comes back, he could win SEC Player of the Year. You have
Yeah.
guys like Ham leaving, Reed Shepard leaving, Connect leaving. Obviously, there's some good guys coming in too, but Sears coming back would be. I think Alabama has a few players on their team that could win SEC Player of the Year next year.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely. Yeah.
and
100%.
Hey, just on a quick recruiting note before we wrap up,
Yeah,
um,
let's move on.
out at the AAU circuit recently, watching players. He saw 5-star combo guard out of LaPorte, Indiana, Jalen Harrelson. Saw 5-star Malik Thomas out of Pennsylvania, another combo guard. And then he also saw, of course, AJ Dybonsa, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Will Riley. Will Riley is a guy that Alabama likes a lot, and a guy that I could picture in this class. Arizona is also making a tough push right now. Also went out and saw Darius Adams, who's a 5-star, and Salim London, who's a 4-star. Both have offers from Alabama. Will Riley is a potential. Well, I don't think he's a reclass anymore. There was talks of him being a reclass option if things didn't work out, but obviously things worked out in 2024 class.
Yeah.
And 2026 wise, a guy like Caleb Holt is another very realistic option from Alabama. And another reclass, a 26 to 25 that could potentially happen in the future. And then a guy like Michael Brown, talented point guard.
Yeah.
Alabama really in the mix for him as well. So a lot of good players that Alabama is in the mix for 2025, 2026. And as you can tell, NATO's just only recruiting elite players right now, high 4-stars, 5-stars. I mean, it's impressive what he's done to this program in such a short amount of time. And
It's been
he's after the best right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And he can get them too. That's the best part about it.
And I
We're
will say, 4 players he saw, what these were just kind of the headliners.
yeah. Yeah, we're not in the dirt anymore. Like we're we're up.
Out the mud. We made it out the mud.
We did. We made it out the mud. Yeah, we're a. I don't know if you know this or not. So I mean, I know that like women's and men's wheelchair basketball, like they've been
Dude,
dominating.
we're insane at wheelchair
We
basketball.
are, we are, and guys. So by the way, like we're not just going to be covering like the big sports on here. So as I promised in like way earlier episodes, like very beginning of this podcast, I told y'all that we'd be covering, or I would be covering back then, like everything. I was not kidding. So in the next coming episodes, we'll bring in some of that. We'll be bringing in gymnastics. We'll be bringing in, shoot, I've got a buddy of mine who's in fencing, so we'll be bringing in some of that. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. It's cool.
And I will say, just because we're bringing that in doesn't mean we're completely ditching football, basketball,
Yeah,
or
no, absolutely not.
those will be featured on every episode, so no worries about
Yeah,
any of that. And then we also, nothing confirmed, but in the near future we might have some special episodes.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. Yeah, dude, I'm
don't
excited for that. I mean, I
don't
have,
want to get don't want to get the hopes up too much
yeah,
right now.
yeah, yeah, fingers crossed, man. We're going for it. But yeah, so this is gonna be fun though. I'm excited
Yeah,
for this new partnership. It's gonna be neat. And yeah, we're gonna be bringing y'all some insider info every pretty much every episode. Depending on what we're covering that day. But gonna be doing that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited. But yeah, anything else before I close out?
I think that's all we got. Had a good time though.
Yeah, awesome.
That be we'll definitely make tweaks to it in the future. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I thought great first run.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Definitely going to add some things. Probably going to add a little bit more commentary in the future when we have more time, and add some more segments, maybe some film in there, stuff like that. Just kind of make
Yeah.
it really interactive for everybody.
Make this nice and professional in the future.
Very, yeah. We all start somewhere.
Exactly. All righty. Well, that'll about do it for this episode. Thank y'all for listening. Yeah. Thank you for listening to Surf of the Tide. God bless and roll tide.
Peace out, roll tide.